Previously, Fate attacks the masked man and ignores the slime monsters. The masked man then fires at Fate with multiple bullets, but Fate can clearly see through his attacks and avoids them all. He then creates a smoke screen. In the next attack, Fate breaks the masked man's mask. He is shocked to find out it's Northern. Now, Roxy is happy to see Faye once again, but she gets shocked when she looks into his red eyes. Fate does not want to justify his position right in the middle of the battle. He requests Lady Roxy to retreat while the Divine Dragon prepares to attack again. He apologizes, saying that he hid behind the mask and always lied to her. He says sorry and runs away to fight the Divine Dragon. Fate does not respond when Roxy requests him to stop. On the other hand, as Fate reaches the Divine Dragon, despite its slow regenerating power, it is fully regenerated. Northern taunts Fate for thinking the fight would be easy. Fate asks Greed to get ready, and he activates the Grand Cross returnable skill. This skill paralyzes the Divine Dragon. But suddenly, Northern appears and starts shooting Fate. When they fight with their swords, Northern appreciates Fate's art, enabling him to paralyze the Divine Dragon. Fate ultimately gets the chance to fight Northern one-on-one, but Fate is pushed back. Fate realizes that his stats must have dropped from using the secret art. Northern then gives Fate 3 reasons that he will win. The first is Fate is exhausted by forcing his way into the domain of E. The second reason is Fate is devoting a portion of his strength to maintaining the secret art, which is holding back the Divine Dragon. The third reason is he hasn't gotten serious yet. Their fight continues. Suddenly, Greed tells Fate to stick close to Northern and not let him get any distance. As they fight, Northern realizes that if Fate gets too far away from the Divine Dragon, then he won't be able to maintain the secret art, which is holding the Divine Dragon. Fate tells him that the fight is not over yet, but Northern tells him now Fate is panicking as he has seen through him. As Fate's next attack leaves him wide open, Northern takes advantage of that moment and cuts off Fate's arm. Northern believes that the fight is over now and mentions that Eris has very high hopes for him. Then he points the black gun sword at Fate's head to end his life, but suddenly he gets pierced right through the chest. Northern is surprised to see that Fate uses an illusion magic. Fate knew that Northern would let his guard down once he is confident he had won. So, Fate takes an all-or-nothing gamble and sacrifices his own arm. Fate then finishes him off, and his Gluttony skill gets activated. Suddenly, Fate finds himself present in a strange place. He thinks that he has seen that place before. The girl that was in Hangel's core appears and introduces herself as Luna. She thanks Fate for ending her miserable life, but Fate becomes sad to hear that. To which she replies she thinks it was for the best. She then apologizes to Fate as she can't do much more, but he has no idea what she is talking about. Suddenly, the ground where he stands begins shattering down, revealing all his enemies he defeated before. Then he realizes that thanks to Luna, his Gluttony skill has quieted down. Luna says that she is not able to support him anymore. She tells Fate that if he devours the Divine Dragon, then he will lose control of himself. Suddenly, the ground shatters and Fate falls into it. But at the same time, someone catches him and pulls him upwards. Actually, it's Greed in a human form who came to help him out. Greed tells him that they are running out of time, so they need to go back. Fate tells him to hold on a second and thanks Luna for the warning. But he can't let the Divine Dragon roam free without its master, so he is going to slay it. As soon as Fate comes back to the battlefield, the Divine Dragon breaks free from the secret art. Fate isn't sure how long he has left, so he has to end the fight fast. Then suddenly, Fate asks Greed if he ever wanted to fly before, and launches it right towards the dragon, and it takes a massive blast on the Divine Dragon. Fate then uses his brawl art, Ruibus Strike, to punch the Divine Dragon, and it makes some massive damage. Fate then uses his skill to see the stats of the Divine Dragon and sees that the dragon has high-level stats. Greed then tells Fate that the domain of E is the world of inhuman strength, and he doesn't trust the stats number. Fate then jumps on the Divine Dragon and slices its wings with his sword. The Divine Dragon falls to the ground, but it still manages to attack Fate. But Fate uses 2 skills that double the final blow. The attack is so powerful that it easily cuts through the dragon. Fate's Gluttony skill activates after defeating the Divine Dragon. As Luna said, Fate is about to lose control of himself as Gluttony tries to take over. But he fights it and thinks that if he loses control and gets Berserk, he'll become a bigger threat than the Divine Dragon. Fate then gives his stats to Greed as he can't hold on much longer. Greed then activates his new level as a magical wand. Accessing Greed's new level, Fate's stats reset, so even if he goes Berserk, the damage will be minimized. Greed is sad that in the end, the Gluttony skill devours Fate as well, and Fate then becomes unconscious. After a while, Mine arrives there and Fate tells her to kill him. Mine tells him she warned him before this might happen if he pushes himself too much, to which Fate apologizes to her. Mine tells him she will fulfill her promise and prepares to end his life. But suddenly, Roxy appears there and saves him. Fate asks her why she saved him, and Roxy gets angry at that question. Fate tells her not to look at him this way as he never wants her to see him like that. Roxy starts crying and tells him this is not enough to make her hate him. No matter what power he wields, he will always be Fate to her and begs him not to end his life. Suddenly, Fate is shocked as a while ago the Gluttony skill was rampaging, but now it's quiet. Roxy tells him to return to Babylon, and Fate is surprised that she is accepting him even after learning the truth. Fate kept saying that he always wanted to save Roxy, but the truth is he always wanted her to save him like she did before. Then he collapses into Roxy's lap, and after seeing that, Mine leaves as Fate comes back to normal. After some time, Fate finds himself sleeping in an inn, and then remembers that Northern cut his left arm. Then he thinks about how long he was asleep as it's noon right now. Mine and Eris come in, and Eris tells him it's been a whole week. She returns Greed to him, but Greed is upset that Fate remembered only now that he was missing. Eris tells Fate they had to go into the central part of Galia to find him, so that's why Greed is dirty. Fate asks what Greed was doing over there. Eris tells Fate that Mine forgot to collect Greed, so they think a monster carried him away. Mine says she was busy dealing with Envy. It would be a bad idea if Envy found another vessel like Northern and started causing trouble again. Eris says that Northern was just being controlled like a puppet by the black gun sword, Envy. Fate is shocked to hear that Northern was controlled by Envy. Mine tells that weapons of mortal sin cannot be destroyed, so she uses her immense power to throw Envy to the far side of Galia. Eris told Fate that after he defeated the Divine Dragon, he has proven his potential, so they would like his help. As their plan was to manufacture a crowned human with Roxy's death, it is over now. Fate tells her to promise him that she will never go after Roxy again. Eris agrees and tells him that Envy was the one who came up with the idea anyway. With the Divine Dragon gone, the country will be entering a new era. They will need Fate's help for what comes next. He does not have a choice to refuse, as this is something that all skill of deadly sin wielders have to deal with. Fate doesn't know what they mean by all of that, but since he was born with the Gluttony skill, he thinks there must be some reason why he was born with that skill. But Eris tells him they have to fix his arm first. Fate is shocked to hear that he never heard of magic like that before which can fix his arm. Eris then tells him they have to get out of there before Roxy comes back, because it's too dangerous for him to be around with her right now. Just hearing her name was enough to get Gluttony wild up, so he agrees to it. On the other hand, Miria and Mugen practice their swordsman skills. When Miria sees Roxy coming out of the building, she goes to her. Roxy tells her to take care of things in her absence and walks away. Miria gets angry because she knows that Lady Roxy is going to see Fate, and she dislikes him so much. Roxy sees the grapes of her own hometown and takes them along with her. She opens the door of Fate's room, telling him that she has brought fresh grapes for him. But Fate is nowhere to be seen in the room. Instead, she finds a letter for her, in which he apologizes for suddenly disappearing like that, and never told her about his Gluttony skill. He says he has to leave for now but promises that he will return to her one day. Roxy remembers the day when she found Fate as a kid, sitting on a bench beside a fountain at night time. She told him to go back to his home as it would be dangerous to be out alone. Terrified of the Holy Knight, Fate started apologizing and tells her not to hit him as he made a Holy Knight mad. Roxy gets surprised to hear that people are threatened by Holy Knights. She apologizes to him for the ashamed behavior of the Holy Knights. Suddenly, Fate's stomach grumbles, so she brings a box of sandwiches and gives them to him. He begins eating the sandwiches quickly, and Roxy advises him to go home after he finishes eating. He then tells her he doesn't have a family or a home. He gets up and thanks Roxy for the sandwich and walks away from there. Roxy wants to know where he would go. Fate shares that he will go anywhere in the capital, as now he learned that there are good Holy Knights too. That was the moment when she became able to hold her head up and be proud of being a Holy Knight. In the present time, Roxy hopes to meet Fate again one day, and she will need to get stronger for when that day comes. On the other hand, Memel and Raphael discuss the fact that Corpse was Fate all along. Raphael goes into his room, explaining that he has to do his research. As he is in his room, he begins laughing maniacally at the thought that Fate killed Hado, and the Philosopher's Stone begins to glow. Meanwhile, Fate gives Greed 40% of his stats. Then Fate reveals its secret art of 4th level, which is called Twilight Healing. This skill fully regenerates Fate's arm. After that, Eris tells him to meet back at the capital, and both Mine and Eris leave on their own way. Sometime later, Fate is shocked to hear that Greed wants a new scabbard because Fate made it into the domain of E. But Fate asks him where are they supposed to get the money for the new scabbard. Greed tells if they don't have the money, then they will have to earn it. Fate gets what Greed means to say and starts attacking the monsters. And that's the end of the 12th episode of Berserk of Gluttony. Please comment and let me know which anime recap you'd like to see next. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, goodbye.